I'm Stephen Rhodes with the Abolitionist Society of the Oregon Coast, and I have two beautiful daughters. We are followers of Jesus Christ and abolitionists. As a follower and believer in Jesus Christ, I have resolved to teach my children to love the Lord with all their heart, mind, and soul, and to love their neighbor as themselves, and to do the same in my own life, without compromise and without apologies. We are an abolitionist family. Who are abolitionists? When great evils arise in our culture and become legally sanctioned and socially normalized and morally justified, abolitionists are those who stand up and speak out against them. Abolitionists are those who adopt an uncompromising spirit in the face of prevailing injustices. Abolitionists embrace a certain bold posture in the face of evil and utterly reject the widely accepted, largely ignored, and complacently permitted injustices that most people choose to ignore. Abolitionists make a point of bringing the gospel of Jesus Christ into conflict with a dark, sin-sick culture who is in love and enslaved by sin. As abolitionists, we demand the end to the socially accepted practice of child sacrifice and to completely abolish human abortion that murders a child every 30 seconds. We believe that abortion is an abomination in the eyes of God and an injustice to the rights of man who is made in his image. Tolerating abortion is utterly inconsistent with the revealed will of God. As Christians, we have an obligation to stand up and rescue those who are being taken away to death. That child being murdered in their mother's womb, which is supposed to be the safest place for a child, is our neighbor, and we are to love our children as ourselves. Abolitionism is the Christian response to entrenched evils. What drives abolitionism is a desire to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. We seek to correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, and to help the helpless. Our desire is to consistently practice what the New Testament calls pure and undefiled religion, to look after the orphan and widows in their affliction, and to keep ourselves unstained by the world. We long to rightly hate evil, love good, and establish justice at the gate. We are simply attempting to answer the question, what does Christianity look like in a culture that kills its children? And then put our answer into action. We are simply seeking to keep the command to love our neighbor as ourselves. God is a rescuer, a deliverer, and we are his disciples. Of course, we are to follow him in his work. The goal of all abolitionist movements is the redemption of man from the dominion of man. We are members of the body and the bride of Christ, and thus the abolitionist movement is a work of the church. We are part of the body that is awake to this evil and seeking to rouse the rest of our members into action. We seek to awaken the indifferent, arrest the apathetic, and to rouse the regenerate to join the fight against abortion. We aim to undermine the prevalent streams of misinformation propped up by abortion defenders in our culture designed to justify abortion or encourage the toleration of its occurrence. Abolitionists seek to contrast two competing visions of the world in a world to demonstrate how one view, the Christian view, centered on God, leads to humane and dignified treatment of human beings, while the other view, centered on man, leads to inhumane and undignified treatment of human beings. We seek to consistently demonstrate in both word and deed the vast differences between a worldview centered on the cross of Christ and a worldview centered on the service of self. As an abolitionist family, we are part of the gospel-driven movement. The gospel alone possesses the power and promise to transform the lives of those traveling in sin and the desperations and addictions which lead to abortion. The gospel alone possesses the power to redeem the rightfully damned, restore the disregarded, and reform the reckless, lift up the despairing, and rescue the sinful culture that is deathly addicted to sin and in rebellion against God. Abolitionism is not a front for the gospel, it is an outflowing from the gospel, one of the ways that the gospel transforms a culture that kills its unborn children. If we love our preborn neighbors as we love ourselves, we will not rest until abortion is abolished. We will not cease to agitate the culture and assist our neighbors until the blood of the most helpless and innocent members of our society ceases to flow as a river through its land? Will you join us in abolishing the greatest human rights violation that the world has ever seen? Will you stand up for the child being murdered at this very moment? Will you rise and answer the call to do more than just have a moral opinion, but to actively put an end to this injustice? Will you help abolish human abortion? As Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, silence in the face of evil is evil itself. God will not hold us skillless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. Are you ready to speak? Are you ready to act? We are an abolitionist family.
We are an abolitionist family.